Hey everybody, what's up? We're here with a new build, and this is a very basic Sorcerer Tank build. Sorcerer Tanks are a lot of fun to play with all the shock damage going on and all the damage mitigation that they have. There's a lot of really fun passives in a Sorcerer for tanking. You do play them a little bit different than other tanks and all. And this build is pretty much to give you a head start into the Sorcerer tanking. It's a very easy to acquire gear build, and yeah, just try it out if you got a Sorcerer. It's lots of fun actually. So let's quickly buff up here and go into our stats. We are on almost 20k max magicka and almost 20k max stamina. It's 19k about. Our max health is 46k, which is alright. Our magicka recovery is 2k. And then we've got 33k spell resistance and almost 33k physical resistance. So we're pretty good on our base stats. Our magicka recovery is big, our stamina and magicka pools are big, our health pool is big enough, and our resistances are almost kept out anyway. The thing with the sorcerer tanking though is you need a bit more on the stamina side, and with the sets I decided to wear, I didn't get any stamina bonuses, so I decided to put 14 points into stamina and go with 50 points into health, because to be honest 46k health is enough, should be enough for all the content in the game really, and it's nice to have a bit of a bigger stamina pool. Without these points, with all 64 into health, you'd only have like 14k-ish, 15k-ish stamina, and that's a little low if you need to block a lot and tank the bosses in longer fights. So we're going with 50 and 14 on this one. We are a stage 4 vampire. You can actually always be a stage 4 vampire as a tank in any content except for maybe Veteran Sunspire. That's the only one where I'd advise you not to do it. We're using the Atronach Mundustone for increased magicka recovery, because most of our abilities are magicka abilities and cost magicka. And then we're using Tri-Stat Food, which increases all of our maximum stats by around 3 to 4k. The food I'm using right here is just the Longfin Pasty Melon. Max health 4k 400 and max magicka and stamina 4k for 2 hours. You could also go with the new Bewitched Sugar Skulls, which give you a little bit more health recovery, but they're more expensive, obviously. Alright, let's get into the skills here. First up is our Damage Shield, Hardened Ward. This comes from the Daedric Summoning skill line, and it conjures a globe of Daedric energy that protects you with a shield and your pet. And we're using a pet on both bars, so it's pretty simple, just looks like this. You gain a damage shield and your pet gains a damage shield. I'm using this because it's actually quite strong, and I like the class abilities, and it also protects the pet. If you wanted another one where the shield is a little bit higher, you could also use the Bone Shield from the Undaunted skill line and then morph that to Bone Surge. The pro about this is it also gives people a synergy, and the shield is a little bit stronger, but it doesn't protect your pet. Plus there's passives for the Daedric Summoning skill line, so I just chose to go with this one. But if you want to go the safer route a little bit, at least, you can also use Bone Surge. Next up is Bound Aegis. This is also from the Daedric Summoning skill line. Protect yourself with the power of Oblivion, creating a suit of Daedric mail that increases your block mitigation by 37% for 3 seconds, but that will go up if you level the skill to stage 4. Mine's just on 1 now because I just put it on and created that build. And also while slotted, which is very nice for a front bar, your max magicka is increased by 5% and you gain minor resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance. So our front bar is our sword and board bar, the one that we're mainly going to be blocking on, where we're going to be in the faces of the bosses, and it's always nice to have a bit of a higher magicka pool there and get the minor resolve for the increased physical and spell resistance then when we're tanking. Next up is the Unstable Clan Fear. This is on both bars. It's also from the Daedric Summoning skill line. First thing you unlock actually. And the Clan Fear, you pretty much summon it by your side. It deals a little bit of physical damage all the time when it hits them with the headbutts or the tails. But more importantly, this is our heal. Once summoned, you can activate the Clan Fear's special ability, for almost 4k magicka, healing you and the clan fear for 16k. So if you activate this heal, 16k is a fucking huge load. That's like a third of our health. And our magicka pool is high enough to, if you go low, you can just like push it 2 times in a row and get over 30k health back. So very, very strong heal. That's why we're running with the clan fear. Next up are 2 abilities from the sword and board skill line, the one hand and shield. First up, the heroic slash. This one starts out as low slash, morph it to heroic slash. You can surprise an enemy with a deep lunge, dealing 2k physical damage, but more importantly, afflicting them with minor maim, reducing their damage done by 15% for 12 seconds. So you always want to try and keep that on the boss, because a 15% damage reduction is very good indeed. And then you also gain minor heroism, granting you 1 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 12 seconds. So as you level this skill up, it'll last a little bit longer, I believe, maybe up to 13-15 seconds-ish. And the reason we're doing this is we want to keep that up at all times, just for the minor maim, reducing the damage we get, and for the minor heroism, which gives us more ultimate. The last skill is our taunt, pretty much the tank's bread and butter. This is Pierce Armor, starts out as Puncture, morph it to Pierce Armor. And when you use this, you are taunting the enemy for 15 seconds, and it'll only attack you, unless someone steals the taunt from you, which shouldn't happen. And it also afflicts the enemy with Major Fracture, Major Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5k for 15 seconds. So with this skill on the front bar here, your magic has increased and you gain minor resolve. With this one, you put minor maim on the enemy, and with this one, you put Major Fracture, Major Breach on the enemy. That means you're buffed and you're debuffing the boss to reduce his resistances and make him do less damage. It's pretty easy. It looks like this. You just pierce it, and then you see these little red flames above him, and also your buffs up there. That's Major Fracture, Major Breach, and the little shield on the side is the taunt. And yeah, that's how you taunt it. It'll only attack you from then on. And you must always keep that taunt up. If you let it run out, it'll go running around killing your teammates, which is not something you want to do. And then the heroic slash looks like this, by the way. So now you can see a 4th buff on there, debuff. That's the minor maim for the reduced damage he does. So you just pretty much always want to keep the taunt up and want to keep the minor maim up from the heroic slash. That's what you do on the front bar. You shield yourself, you block, you can heal yourself with the clan fear if need be, and you just want to keep the taunt and the heroic slash debuffs on the boss. So yeah, that's what you're doing on your front bar, the tanking bar. Let's quickly put the clan fear away, because otherwise he'll keep attacking the target dummy here. As an ultimate on the front bar, we've got Absorption Field. This comes from the Dark Magic skill line. First skill line, you create a globe of magic suppression for 12 seconds, removing and preventing all enemy area of effect abilities from the area. Enemies within the globe that are stunned, while enemy players will be silenced. That's for PvP. But the globe also heals you and your allies for 870 health every 1.5 seconds, so that's about 1600 health every 1 second, and it goes for 12 seconds. So it is quite strong. It suppresses all the enemy's area of effect abilities and stuns the enemies in the area, meaning if you got a huge ad pool that's hard to handle, or if you just are all stacked around the boss and killing the boss and you need some extra heals, you just put that on. It'll look like a big purple globe, and everything inside is gonna get stunned, and your allies and yourself inside are gonna get healed. Optionally, you could also go to the one hand and shield and unlock shield wall up here, which is a damage shield for 5 seconds, but that duration will go up as you level the skill, and it allows you to automatically block all attacks at no cost. So that's also a great ultimate for the front bar. You just pull that, and it is almost like you're blocking, even though you're not, and it allows you to just do heavy attacks and regain some stamina for 5 seconds, or also to just pop it and you got your block on and you can res an ally, for example. So that would also be a very good option for a front bar ultimate. Moving on to the back bar, we've got Elemental Blockade. This comes from the Destruction Staff skill line. You slam down your stuff to create an elemental barrier in front of you, dealing magic damage, and then the depending on whether you want to use a frost staff or a lightning staff, the frost staff also reduces enemies' movement speed and immobilizes chilled enemies, and the lightning staff sets concussed enemies off balance. It looks like this. It's just a big field in front of you that you create, and depending on if you want to use a frost or lightning stuff, but I'll get into that later when we talk about the gear. The enemies inside of it will take damage and either be chilled or set off balance. Next up, from the Stormcalling skill line, the last thing you unlock is Streak. That starts as Bolt Escape, morph it to Streak. Transform yourself into pure energy and flash forward, dealing shock damage and stunning enemies. This effect cannot be blocked. But casting it again within 4 seconds costs 33 magicka. So this is pretty much our flex slot on the bar, depending on what you need. There's a couple of good skills that you put in there. Streak I do like just for the extreme fast movement. It looks like this. You're just rushing forward and dealing damage and stunning the enemies that you sort of catch while you're doing that. It's very nice if you need to move fast, but don't overdo it because it costs quite a lot, and it costs even more if you activate it again within 4 seconds. This is very nice for Cloud Rest, for example, when you're fighting Samaja and you keep on porting from one side of the room to the other. You can check out where the well is, where he's going to come up, and then just give yourself a little speed boost to get there. Or just to get out of situations if you're having an oh shit moment and you need to get away for a minute or a second. This is a very good skill for that. Failing that, Boundless Storm is also an option. This manifests yourself as pure lightning, and you deal shock damage to enemies around you, but more importantly you gain major resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5,000. So depending on the monster set you're wearing, that would also be an option. With my setup, I don't need this skill. Looks like this. You just transform into a lightning, and your physical and spell resistances all go up for 5k for the time being due to the major resolve. So if you don't need the speed boost, that would be a nice idea. Or if you want to take care of your resource management a little bit, then Dark Deal would also be cool in that slot. What this does is you bargain with Darkness just to restore 9k health and 3600 stamina, but that will also go up as you level the skill, and an additional 2300 stamina over 20 seconds. It costs magicka though, so if you need some stamina and health back, though for health you actually have your Clan Fear heal, but if you need some stamina back, you can use this and trade some magicka for stamina. So depending on what you're doing, what content you're in, these are the 3 skills that would make sense on this slot particularly. If you just run around, I prefer the Streak. If you want to be safe with the stamina side, just use Dark Deal. And if you don't have major resolve from your monster set, you might as well use Boundless Storm then to be a bit on the safer side. Next up is the Unstable Clan Fear again, our heal. We need to double bar it. If you only have it in 1 bar, it will die every time you swap bars, and then you have to re-summon it, which is just a pain in the ass, so we don't want that. Next up is, from the Dark Magic skill line, Restraining Prison. This calls forth Daedric Shards from the earth to immobilize enemies in front of you for 5.3 seconds, but that will also go up as you level the skill. And you gain Major Vitality, increasing your healing received by 30% for 2 seconds, plus 1 extra second per enemy in the area, up to a maximum of 6. So your healing is greater, the healing you received is greater, and you can immobilize ad groups. This is pretty good, just for if you're running around and you're trying to control the ads and keep them in one place. You're just putting this down, and it'll call shards from the ground and keep them all in place there. And once you've kept them in place, you can put the elemental blockade on them, and then they're all nicely stacked up and debuffed and caught in place, and the DPS can just burn them down a lot quicker. The next thing we've got comes from the Undaunted skill line. This is Inner Rage. It's the 3rd thing you unlock here. Ignite the fire of hate in an enemy's heart, dealing magic damage and taunting them to attack you for 5 seconds, and this is ranged. Also, added to that, a ranged ally targeting the taunted enemy can activate the Radiate synergy, and giving out synergies is always nice. So this is pretty much your far taunt. If the adds are too close away from you, say you're holding this boss here and you're keeping him taunted and debuffed and keeping your shield up, but then there's adds coming from the other side, you can swap to your bar and use the Inner Rage far taunt, and then you see it, he's also got the flames above his head now, meaning he'll come running to you if he's taunted, and you can all group them up nicely at the boss so they can all die in the area of effect damage that your allies are doing. So that is your fart taunt there. And as a backbar ultimate, we've obviously got the aggressive horn from the assault skill line. That's the PvP one. You're gonna have to play a little bit of Battlegrounds of Cyrodiil for this. And what this does is you sound a war horn, and all your groups, max magicka and max stamina, will be increased by 10% for 30 seconds, so they've all got more resources. Plus for 9 seconds, which will go up to 10 as you level the skill, you also grant yourself and your allies major force, increasing all their critical damage done by 15%. So that's a quite big buff, because critical damage is very high as it is. And if you sound this for 10 seconds, all of the crit damage of your whole trial group or dungeon group will be increased by another 15%. So this is also a very nice buff. Alright, so much for these skills. That's a pretty basic setup. You got your heal there. Just to explain that again for a short second, your front bar is pretty much your tanking bar. You got your heal with your Clan Fear. Your Bound Aegis keeps your mitigation up. You got your shield, and you can put the debuffs and the taunt on the enemy. Keep him taunted at all times and just block and shield yourself. And use the Clan Fear to do a little bit of additional damage and heal. And then on the back bar, that's pretty much your crowd control bar. You can stun enemies by zapping through them, or you can hold them in place and put your elemental blockade on them to set them off balance and concuss them and all. And of course you've also got your heal on your back bar from the Clan Fear. So that's pretty much how the tanking goes with the Sorcerer. Obviously there's tons of different situations, but this is a basic setup, basic build for people that want to get into Sorcerer tanking, and it's a fairly good one for that. So this is pretty much what you do. You can CC enemies, debuff them, and you can keep things taunted, which is a tank's major task, really. Now let's get into the gear. I really like the gear in this one because it's highly effective and it's really easy to get. There's like almost nothing in there that you can't just farm by yourself in Overland, or buy at guild traders, or even check guild banks if some people might have some stuff laying around, because they're fairly popular sets as well. First up, we've got Livewire, and this is actually really cool. This adds 4% healing taken and another 4%, so altogether 8% healing taken, and then 1k max health. Plus, if we take damage, we have a 25% chance to overload our circuits, applying concussion to enemies within 8 meters of you, and healing for 1k health for each enemy hit. So this is great for our health sustain, because we heal when we get attacked, and we will get attacked all the time because we're the tank. Plus, we can send out that shockwave to apply concussion to all the enemies within the area. And as you know, concussion can set them off balance, which causes them to take a lot more damage than they usually would. So this helps the group pushing their damage by concussing the enemies, and it also helps ourselves with the health we get back from it, and the healing taken buffs that we get from it. Now you want a one-handed weapon. It doesn't really matter if it's an axe or a sword or a dagger. I'd probably prefer a sword, but I found the axe in the right trait, and the difference is so minimal that it doesn't really matter. You can use any one-hand weapon, really. But what you do want is you want it in defending to increase your physical and spell resistance, and also the hardening enchant, so you get an extra damage shield for 5 seconds on the front bar, which is the bar you'll be on when you're in the face of the bosses and try to block everything. So yeah, just go for a one-hander in defending with a hardening enchantment for the damage shield. Then on the second hand, we've got the Livewire shield. This is in Reinforced, increasing the armor value by 15%. You could also go with Nirnhound, but the difference from Reinforced to Nirnhound is only really noticeable if you gold the shield out and make it a golden item, not a purple one. So, depending on how you like the set and how you get on with it, if you really enjoy it and you want to stick with it, just gold it out and transmute it to Nirnhound. Other than that, stay with Reinforced because the difference, as I said, is minimal if it's purple. Now, the thing with this is I've got a stamina glyph on here. The shield is pretty much, you can choose whatever you need there. You can put any glyph you want on it. I decided to go for a stamina glyph, so I could get my stamina pool up to almost 20k, because I really need that stamina for the blocking if I'm tanking bosses and all that. Alright, where were we? Inventory going on. On the back bar, I've got the Livewire Lightning Staff. This should always be infused with a Crusher enchantment to reduce the target's physical and spell resistance by another 2k for 5 seconds. So every time your cliff will proc, and since the Elemental Blockade runs on for 12 seconds, it'll have a very high uptime on it. And then in infused, so the weapon enchantment effect is higher by 25% and reduces the cooldown by 50%. So that your uptime on it is higher, and the amount of the reduction of the target's physical and spell resistance is higher as well. Now, you can go with a lightning staff if you want to. It's nice because sorcerers have natural passive bonuses to shock damage as well. And then, or you could go with an ice staff if you wanted to be a bit more on the safer side. The ice staff can also be infused with the Crusher enchantment and do the same thing. And it gives you a little bit more block cost mitigation, or block mitigation on the back bar if you're stuck on the back bar and you have to block there for a bit. Whereas the lightning staff will set concussed enemies off balance, and you do have concussion just from the Livewire set. So I prefer the lightning stuff, but if you're a beginner and you want to be a bit safer, just an ice stuff will work just as fine, really. Okay, the second 5-piece set we're using here is Plague Doctors. Livewire can be found in Clockwork City, by the way, I believe. It's just an overland set. You can buy it from the guild traders. Just like Plague Doctor, you can also buy that from the guild traders, or just farm it or run around in the world and open chests and do delves and all that, and pieces will drop. Plague Doctors is from Deshan. Now, Plague Doctor is a purely selfish health set, but that's why our maximum health is so high, with like 46k. This adds 1k health, 4% healing taken, and another 3k health about. All the healing taken buffs are really important for us as well, by the way, from Livewire. Livewire's got 2 healing taken buffs, and Plague Doctor's got another one, just so that the heal from our Clan Fear that we get is a lot higher than it usually would be. So these sets play very well together with the Clan Fear heal setup, and they work nicely together as well. So this is pretty much just for your own safety, for your own healing taken and maximum health. You could use Eben, of course, instead if you wanted. Eben will only give you 2k health and then another 1k health about for all of your group members. So you'll be missing out on a little bit. Plague Doctor gives you two health bonuses and then a 3k one about. This one gives you 2 and just a 1k one. So you'll be missing out on 2k health, but you also get the healing taken. Eben comes from Crypt of Hearts 1 and 2. It's a very popular tank set because all the trial group, all you, yourself, and 11 members all get 1k health bonus. So if you can farm that and you're pretty safe and you can go with a little less health yourself as a tank, you can use this set and switch it to Eben just to buff your whole group's health a little bit. That will be the option once you're a little settled with the tanking and you're okay with going with like 44k health instead of 46. Just go for Eben, farm that then, and you can do your whole group a favor by buffing all their health as well. But for now, we're going with Plague Doctor. To get the high Magicka and Stamina pools, you could go with health only enchants, but on all the big pieces, meaning the head, the chest, and the legs, I really like them in infused here with the tri-stat glyphs, because that means I'll get an extra 1500 stamina, an extra 1500 magicka, and an extra 1500 health. Whereas if I went with pure health glyphs, which are cheaper obviously, I would not get these bonuses, and my stamina magicka pools from 19k would drop down to like 17500, which is a bit on the low side. So if you can get these tri-stat enchants somehow, just make sure that your big pieces are infused, so the enchantment is increased, and put them on the big pieces, meaning the legs, the chest, and the head. Just the tri-stat glyphs for your increased flat stats. Now, all the other pieces, the small ones, are supposed to be in sturdy. So you want the shoulders, the waist, the hands, and the feet all in sturdy to reduce the cost of your blocking by 3.5% each. Now, you've already seen it. Our monster set is the Mighty Chudan. This is the only thing here that's a little bit hard to get, and this is also why I said that Boundless Storm is not necessary if you're using this monster set, because Mighty Chudan grants you Major Resolve at all times anyway, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5k. Now, if you wanted to use Boundless Storm instead of Streak or Dark Deal, you could swap this monster set out, really, because the extra 3k armor that you get from the one-piece bonus doesn't really do too much. Then we are mainly we are running this for the two-piece bonus Major Resolve. Other options for this monster set then would be the Lord Warden one, which gives your whole group more resistances that are around you. That comes from Imperial City Prison. Mighty Chudan itself comes from Ruins of Mazatoon, which is not the easiest veteran dungeon to do if you're new to the game. If you get a good guild, they might lead you through it and tell you about the mechanics, and you'll probably get it done because it's not too hard to tank. But yeah, so those would be the usual options. Failing that, you could also go for Pirate Skeletons, which is the easiest one to get out of Lord Warden Mighty Chudan. But Pirate Skeleton isn't really the best call. So just see what you can get your hands on. If you can't get any of these helmets, you might even try and run with something like Botgun the Night Flame, just for extra heals for yourself and all of the group for the time being, because that's a fairly easy one to get. Or maybe something like Swarm Mothers, so you can pull ads in. Yeah, there's a lot of good tanking monster sets, but for this particular build, my preferred ones would be the Mighty Chudan in place 1 and Lord Warden in place 2nd. And eventually Stonekeeper, but since that is from Veteran Frostvault, which is one of the hardest veteran dungeons in the whole game, I'm guessing that people who want to start out Sorcerer tanking might not be able to get that done as quick as they would like to. Either way, that's our setup here. Live Wire for the extra healing taken, and for concussing enemies, which then can be set off balance, and for healing ourselves too. Mighty Chudan for the extra Major Resolve, increasing all our physical and spell resistances, which brings us almost to cap at 33k resistances and adds armor and max health. And then Plague Doctors or Eben for the health bonuses and healing taken bonuses to ourselves, or with Eben for the bonuses for yourself and for the whole group as well, which is nice. The jewelry, by the way, just all in healthy to increase our maximum health, with magicka recovery glyphs. That's very important, the magicka recovery glyphs, because you want your magicka recovery to be high. Almost every skill you use in this setup costs magicka, really. Alright, so much for that. Now we'll quickly go into the champion points. I've got 72 into Ironclad to reduce the damage taken against direct attacks. Then 56 into Hardy and 56 into Elemental Defender to reduce our damage taken from Flame, Frost, Shock, Magic, Physical, Poison, Disease damage. And then 51 into Thick-Skinned to reduce the damage we take from damage over time effects. We've got 23 into Quick Recovery to increase our healing received by our Clan Fear and the healers even further. And then 12 in Heavy Armor Focus, so we get a little bit of additional physical resistance there. 44 into Warlord to reduce the cost of Break Free, and 19 into Bashing Focus, so to reduce the cost of Bash if you need to interrupt things. 56 into tenacity to increase the stamina we get back with a fully charged heavy attack on our front bar, and then 75 into arcanist for the increased magicka recovery. 56 into shadow ward to reduce the cost of block by 20%, and then 20 into tumbling to reduce the cost of roll dodge by 9%. Over here we've got 75 into blessed to increase the healing done by 14%, and 56 into Elfborn just to increase the critical healing with magic abilities by 20%. And then we've got 19 into Elemental Expert, increasing our Flame Frost shock magic damage by 5%, just because I didn't really know where else to put these points, and we do some good shock damage as well as a sorcerer. Nothing in here. And then over here we just want to get to 120 points so we can get the Last Stand passive. When we fall below 20% health, we gain Major Heroism, granting 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds, which is a very nice passive bonus for a tank. So we get to 120 points here by putting 72 into Thaumaturge, increasing our damage done with damage over time abilities, which also is our Elemental Blockade, for example. And then 48 into Precise Strikes, increasing our critical healing with stamina abilities. This might come in handy actually if you decide to if you're like further on in your tanking and you get better at it and you decide to run a set like Powerful Assault, which buffs the whole group whenever you use an assault ability, and you might choose to go with Vigor as a stamina heal. Then this will really boost up the healing, the critical healing with your Vigor, because it's a stam heal, and your Powerful Assault set might, for example, run off of that. Saying that, there are shitloads of great tank sets for all kinds of occasions. It always depends on what your group needs. This is a basic setup that works for most core content, for normal and veteran dungeons, and for normal trials and all that. So this is just one possible setup, but as you go deeper into tanking, you'll notice that there are about 20 sets that you want to carry around with you at all times, just to be equipped for every sort of occasion. But even Livewire and Plague Doctor and Mighty Chudan will still be among them in the endgame sort of region. So there's nothing wrong with getting these sets in the right traits and pumping them up and making them purple or gold anyway. Alright, now I've put this to the end of the video just so you understand all the skills that we're using and all the sets that we're using. Before I quickly go into the passives, it is kind of important if you want to understand how the build works. If you just want to play it and try it out, you can stop watching the video now, pretty much. But there are a lot of passives in the sorcerer ability that actually strengthen a lot of the abilities that we have. So starting out with Unholy Knowledge from Dark Magic. Reduces health, magicka, and stamina costs of all your abilities by 6%. This is really important because all of your skills, your taunts and all of your magicka abilities, your shields and everything will cost less. Blood Magic, when you hit an enemy with a directly applied dark magic ability, you heal for 5k. If you're using the Absorption Field ultimate from the Dark Magic skill line, you will heal for doing so. After blocking an attack, your next health, magicka, or stamina ability costs 15% less. This is perfect for a tank, really, because you block attacks all the time, and then your next whatever you choose, health, magicka, or stamina ability, will just cost less. So after you just block the big hit, you might as well pump in a very expensive heal or any expensive kind of skill, because it'll cost 15% less. And then we've got Exploitation. When you cast a dark magic ability, you grant minor prophecy to you and the group, increasing your spell critical rating for 20 seconds. This is also really great, because that means whenever you use your front bar ultimate, the Absorption Field, your whole group's spell critical rating will go up. So all of these passives are pretty damn awesome for a tank, really. Then the Daedric Summoning skill line. You restore 1500 magicka whenever one of your pets is killed or unsummoned. So if your Clanfear dies, you get magicka back and you can cast it again straight away. This is great. Reduces the cost of your ultimate abilities by 15%. Like, who doesn't want that? You can pretty much pump out your Absorption Field or your Warhorn all the time, because your ultimate is 15% cheaper than anyone else's. Then we've got this here. Increases your health, stamina, recovery by 20% while you have a Daedric Summoning ability slotted. We have them on both bars with the Clan Fear. So your health and stamina recovery are increased by 20%, which is great for a tank as well, because stamina recovery is a thing. You want a lot of stamina so you're able to block and you don't have to heavy attack as often. And then Expert Summoner increases your max health by 8% while you have a Daedrake pet active. So we always have the Clan Fear active, meaning our max health is always increased by 8%. So all of these passives are pretty damn perfect for a tank as well. And then the Storm Calling one increases your magical recovery by 10%. That's awesome for a tank as well. Increases your physical and shock damage by 5%. We do use a lightning stuff on the back bar, or I do on this build, so we do some shock damage as well. You might want to get that then. Increases the damage done by enemies by 1% for every 10% current health they have. So this is pretty much a how do you say, execute kind of skill. So or like a reverse execute kind of skill. Like the more health the enemies have, the more damage you do with the things that you have, like the Clan Fear or the Elemental Blockade that do a little bit of damage. And then Expert Mage increases your weapon and spell damage by 2% for each ability slotted. That's 8% here on the front bar. But yeah, that's not the most important, but it's nice to have a little bit more weapon and spell damage, so why not? One Hand and Shield, you obviously want all of these passives, because it's our main tanking bar, and all of these come in handy. Destruction stuff, you also want all of these, especially if you're wanting to play an ice staff, because fully charged frost staff heavy attacks taunt the enemy for 15 seconds. So if you're using an ice staff, you can also just use your weapon to taunt things, and you don't need to spend magicka on inner rage or stamina on pierce armor. So get all of these passives as well. They're important also for the concussion and chilled effects that you can do with the lightning or ice stuffs, because they get higher by 100%. Light armor and medium armor, we're not using anything. All of our 7 armor pieces were in heavy, so all you need here is all of the heavy passives. And then a vampire, you definitely want supernatural recovery, increases your magic and stamina recovery by 10%. Undeath either reduces the damage taken up to 33% based on your missing health while you're below 50% health. So the lower your health goes, if you're in a oh shit moment, the less damage you take. Very, very good. And then unnatural resistance, this reduces the severity of the health recovery determined in vampirism stages. So stage 2 no longer reduces your health recovery, and then stage 3 only by 25%, and stage 4 only by 50%. But we don't really care so much about the health recovery, to be honest, because we've got so much healing done bonuses on all of our sets, and our Clan Fear's heal is so strong that we're not relying on health recovery, we're just healing ourselves if we need to. Fighter's Guild, you might want Banish the Wicked. You generate 9 ultimate when you kill an undead, dead, or werewolf. It's nice for the ultimate regeneration, so you can use more war horns or absorption fields. Mage's Guild, we don't need anything. There are a couple builds that would run Equilibrium and more fit the spell symmetry, but that would require you to farm all of the Mage's Guild books and level that up to 10 so you get all of the passives as well. So I'm just not using that skill, really, because getting there is, it takes such a long time. It takes like probably about, I think it took me like 2 full days where I played 7 hours each, so like 15 hours, 16 hours to find all of the Mage's Guild books to get level 10. And then you need a whole bunch of skill points as well. Spell Symmetry, by the way, steals your own health but gives you magicka back. That's why people tend to use it, but it's not really necessary on this build. Undaunted, though, you want all of these, obviously. The passives, I mean, not all these skills. Skills, you only might need Sanguine Altar. It's a nice one. It's like a ground heal thingy, where you apply minor lifesteal to all the enemies, so everybody who attacks them gets a heal. It might come in handy once in a while. And obviously Inner Rage, which is your far taunt, so you can taunt enemies from afar in. But the passives are very nice, because activating an ally's synergy restores 4% of your max health, stamina, and magicka, so that's for your resource management if the healers are throwing you shards or orbs or something like that, and you just take the synergy and get a lot of health and magicka back, and stamina. And then Undaunted Metal, just for a little bit increased max health, stamina, and magicka. Even though we're not varying medium or light armor. It's still 1% more health, magic, and stamina, so get both of these as well. Assault, you don't need any passives, only the Warhorn. Maybe Vigor if you wanted to try running powerful Assault, and then on the back bar instead of Streak, Boundless Storm, Dark Deal, just run Vigor. And Support, you don't need anything either, unless you want to unlock Purge, so you can cleanse yourself and your group, and the Barrier, so you can put up that damage barrier. Then you might want to get Magicka Aid, which increases your Magicka recovery for another 5% each support ability slotted. These are all possible skills that you might need in the future at some point, but you don't need them right now. Right now, just stick with what we've got and get to know your Sorcerer Tank. You'll be fine. Now, races. I'm a Breton here in this build. Mainly because this is also my Sorcerer Healer. I just swap between builds. Bretons are actually quite nice for the tanking as well, because you do have increased max magicka, which is nice. Your spell resistance is increased, and it's doubled if you're afflicted with burning, chilled, or concussed, which happens quite often to a tank. Plus you get more magicka recovery, another 100, and then all your magicka abilities costs 7% less. So this is probably why I have a stamina glyph on my shield, and why I have 50 points into health and 14 into stamina, because of the Breton. Other great races for this would be an Imperial. You might even be able to go with 64 into health then, because Imperials do get one of the highest stamina bonuses, I believe, in the game. Or you could also be a Nord for the extra resistances and ultimate generation bonuses. Or you could also be an Argonian. So all of these races will work. I've set my build up like this. If you want to do an Imperial or a Nord, just because, or an Argonian, just because they're probably the best tanking races, you'll just have to see where your magicka recovery is, because you'll be missing a little bit of that, and so you just want to put your points in accordingly. Always never put less than 50 into health, I would say. But yeah, and then see for your shield glyph if you need more stamina or magicka and all that. But you'll figure it out. It's not too much difference then. And then there's alchemy. If you get that up to level 50, it's really easy. You can do it like in an hour, or like in 20 minutes really, if you have all the ingredients. Try and get medicinal use, so your potions last 30% longer, and their effects as well. Saying that, I'm just using Tri-Stat potions here right now. The ones that give you health, magicka, and stamina, and then also Major Fortitude, Intellect, and Endurance, which increase your health recovery, magicka recovery, and stamina recovery. You can also just buy the Tri-Stat pots. They'll be called Essence of Health in the guild stores, and they'll give you exactly the same that these ones do. But be careful, because there's various versions of Essence of Health. Some only give you health, some give you only health and stamina, and some give you all three: health, stamina, and magicka, which are the best ones in my opinion. Alright, so much for that. That's pretty much the Sorcerer Tank. I hope you enjoyed this build. Try it out, it's really a lot of fun. I'm gonna add a little gameplay video too if I can, and add timestamps in the description. So yeah, enjoy trying out Sorcerer Tanking. Loads of fun. See you next time.